All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith, and we have Richie tonight. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing great, Duke. Can't complain, man. Another day, another dollar.
There you go. Doing all right, man. It's been a good week. I went to a live show today, and got to hang out with some people that I know, and just pretty much a good day. But I went down I have my friend who lives in Japan is in town for like the holiday or whatever, and so I met up with him after the live show, and I swear to God, I don't drink and drive. Like, I just personally don't do that anymore, and I've done it in the past. It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Shouldn't
Right.
do it. So I got dropped off down there where we were going out, and I had a couple drinks, and then I called an Uber so that I could get back here and do the show. And the fucking I don't know what's going on with Uber, man. Like, I had 3 different drivers in the span of like 5 minutes, and they were 10
God.
minutes late, and I didn't even know if I was going to get back here. So I'm just happy to be here, guys. I
Yeah,
got
me
back.
too.
Got back in time. I know we're a little late because of that, but other than that, man, it's a great little Friday. Got a good day of a little bit of work in the morning, and then got to enjoy some time to chill and getting ready for a big weekend of college football. But how about you, Duke? How's your week been?
Week has been going good. Doing the podcast all this week. Got a little work in. Just getting ready to take in some football action. Coming off of vacation, can't really complain too much. We got Michigan State taking on Purdue. Let me tell you, that is a barn burner. And then we have UTSA taking on Temple, and McCowan's kid, the UTSA. I do like those unis, the black and white Roadrunners. Those are sharp, way better than anything that Purdue and Michigan State are wearing.
Yeah, and Temple, the post-Stan Drayton era is not going so well so far. They're down 28-17. So
And it's
sucks to
halftime.
suck. At least, is it actually I think it's at UTSA, so you can't even get like a good cheesesteak afterwards and make yourself feel better. This is just what a terrible time to be at Temple L. But other than that, man, I mean it's fun. We got obviously the big news, or the big happening this weekend is both Fox Big Noon Kickoff and College Game Day will be live from Columbus, Ohio tomorrow morning. I did not see Urban Meyer at Urban Meyer's Pint House tonight when I stopped by there, which is interesting because Duke, I believe it was the last time he was here. You and I happened to find our way into the Pint House, and none other than Urban Meyer himself was hanging out in his 7-0 room. So I was hoping to see him, but no luck. Obviously, we were there a little bit later into the night, so maybe he's about to make his entrance now. But I was hoping for an Urban sighting,
Yeah.
Probably a grand entrance at that.
There were a ton of young girls with butts that he could just grab there. I mean, it was so open for opportunity for him. I think he really missed out on a great night.
Nah, think of it this way: when you're such a media personality such as Urban Meyer, the night is still young.
Yeah,
it's
that's
under
true.
10 o'clock. You know.
He's only got to be up at like 6 a.m. to start prepping for the show tomorrow. But
Yeah.
neither here nor there. The 7-0 room, which by the way should be called the 7-1 room, but it's neither here nor there either. But we did have we have one of the biggest matchups in college football of the whole year this Saturday. It's being referred to as the Dog Shit Bowl. And it is going to feature 2 programs that I know everybody out there is following very closely. One is actually a program people follow, the other one, nobody. But we have Charleston Southern, the 1-10 Charleston Southern, taking on Florida State, who's 1-9. Who's going to get to 2 wins? That is the question of the weekend. And I got to tell you, the more I look at it, I like Charleston Southern.
I'm going Knowles, baby. Chop. 45-0.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I ain't scored over 21 all year, Rich.
Tomorrow's the day.
Tomorrow is the date, dude.
Our guy Snaps, have not seen him around the show in months.
No,
After
he's
Boston,
busy. He had a kid, but
after Boston College, he kind of disappeared. But
yeah, I would have too.
Gone into hiding.
But yeah, I mean, Norvell not coaching for his job. I don't know if Charleston Southern's coach is on the hot seat or not. I don't know what the expectations are there. Are they the Pirates? It looks like a pirate.
We look this up.
But
swashbucklers.
Yeah, but either way, it's going to be a fun game for them. I'm kidding. Nobody cares about that game. That game is quite literally the least interesting game of the weekend.
I don't know. Looking at the fan attendance between Michigan State and Purdue, there's a lot of fans dressed as empty seats.
Oh, man. I thought they could sell out.
Is it in Michigan State or is it in West Lafayette?
It's at East Lansing.
Yeah, it's at least East Lansing.
Man, that's a bad look because East Lansing usually shows out.
Mm-hmm.
But
tough sell for bad Big Ten football on a Friday night.
Yeah. Well, we do have high school football going on. Here locally, we got the Olentangy Liberty Patriots taking on the Pick North, whatever they are. What is Pick? Tigers? I think they're the Tigers. I think that's what it is. Anyways.
Pick, yeah.
In regional action down at historic Crew Stadium. I know my nephew is there. He's not dressed. He's a freshman, so he's just there in attendance cheering on his school. But Pick North, they've had some dudes come out of Pick North now. I was looking it up with some guys earlier. Can you name me, I don't know, let's say the 3 best players to come out of Pickerington North in the last 10, 15 years?
Josh Perry, Stover.
No, Stover didn't go Pick North.
You go to Pick Central?
No, he was northern. He was up north, I believe. Not like all the way north like
Justin
you,
Boren.
Nope.
I was 12 years.
And I don't think he was Pick either. I think he was Lancaster. But so one of which is on the team right now. 5-star defensive end.
Jack
not
Sawyer.
JT, Jack Sawyer.
Jeez,
all right, so Jack Sawyer, Pat Elfline.
Oh, Elfline went to Pick.
And he went to the team up north, but Jake Butt. So those are 3, and they've had other guys. But those are just 3 that I saw. They're like, damn, they put out a couple kids here and there. So Pick North has some decent D1 kids this year. Olentangy Liberty, not so much, but they're still a good football team. So that's what I'm paying attention to tonight. I'm not paying attention to Purdue, Michigan State, UNLV, San Jose State, or Temple, UTSA. That's for damn sure. But as the title graphic reads, obviously Bryce Underwood, we're going to get to that here in a little bit. But let's start with the part of that conversation that is really pertinent, and that is, what is the future for Brian Kelly? Because let me just show you kind of what his last couple weeks have been like.
Looking a little murkier.
It's been a bad month. He got blown out by Bama at home. Then he lost to a bad Florida team. I don't care what Duke says. They're bad.
Best
and then
6 team in the nation.
Okay, listen, you want me to get politically incorrect every time you say that because that's like being the tallest midget. Okay, that's cool and all, but you're still short. But anyways,
I'm just saying, best 6-6 team. Bowl game Billy is what you referred to him all off season.
I will refer to him as G5 Billy, like I always have.
Bowl game.
Hey, he's still got to win one of the next 2. All right, Florida State's coming for that ass.
No diddy.
No diddy. Pause. And then they fumbled the number 1 overall recruit in Bryce Underwood, obviously, which we will talk about. I know a lot of people down south. I know quite a few that are LSU fans. I know a couple that have some affiliations. Nobody's very happy right now. I got to tell you, nobody's very happy with Brian Kelly. He had the Heisman Trophy winner last year. And what's all people a consensus rookie of the year this year.
Correct. Yep.
And he lost 3 games in the regular season and the bowl game, if I remember correctly. So 4 losses last year. He's 6-4 right now. Obviously, he came into LSU, beat Alabama year 1, was in the SEC title game, and all obviously with none of his own players. And it's been all downhill from there. I mean, it has literally gone consistently downhill from there. And now you fumble the number 1 overall recruit in which you had committed. You lose to a bad Florida team. You get blown out by Alabama. You lose to a bad USC team. I mean, could this be the beginning of the end for Brian Kelly at LSU? Because I got to tell you, Notre Dame put up with a lot. Notre Dame is a lot more patient than I think LSU will be. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I believe every coach that has coached there of the last 3 coaches at least have won a national title.
Correct.
Every coach since DiNardo.
Yeah, so he's not trending towards a national title. He's trending the way that those coaches did after winning the national title, and he hasn't done that. So how much time does LSU give Brian Kelly, and how many tables is he going to break in the process?
I gave him 2 years. Just a simple fact with how he came in and now the slowly downwards progression of what has gone on at LSU, with this fake accent, we're family.
Yep.
And
there's that. And then there's the recruiting video in which he's dancing with the recruit who ended up flipping to Alabama, I believe.
The guy's fake as hell. And those people down south in Baton Rouge, they see right through it. He's just he's been inconsistent, I would say. And they're not going to, like you said, Carter, they're not going to put up with it for much too long, much longer.
Mm-hmm. Duke, what do you think?
Go ahead.
I look at this and I think Brian Kelly pulls the ultimate slip. He's either going to slip through the cracks and go out the side door like the Phantom of the Opera to go take another job.
That's his MO.
The dude has a gigantic ego. It's the size of Lucas Oil Stadium. I think that what we have here is LSU gave him a terrible, terrible contract. And you're starting to see this more and more in college football, but it's also a protection on that the agents are putting in place, because it's guaranteed money. If you look at Brian Kelly's buyouts, look at the buyout numbers. Is $60 million stomachable for 2024? No. 2025, I still think that number is too high. I think that once you get to the $42 million range, that is something that I think you would feel comfortable talking to the boosters about, but
more comfortable for sure.
But still, what's it going to cost you for the next guy? It's going to cost you $50 million to hire the next name.
Yep.
So LSU went out and got a big name, stole him away, and this is what you're left with. For me as an athletic department, $33 million is probably the most stomach number that I think you could even take a look at it or even go to anybody about it. But if it completely falls off the rails, I don't know if you're going to get anybody that's going to take that job that's
worth their salt. Yeah.
Because of the pressure, the expectation, how big of a pressure cooker it is. But, throughout the whole SEC, you have LSU, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Auburn. All of them jobs are high pressure. Everybody's on you. You're only as good as a 7-day contract. Like, they're ready to cook Hugh Freeze and eat him. Well, he doesn't have a quarterback, and Auburn didn't want to pony up to go get one out of the portal. So you get what you get. With Brian Kelly, you're getting what you get. They have a lack of depth on defense. if I'm Brian Kelly, I'm not walking away from Garrett Nussmeier because I think he's going to be an NFL quarterback, and there's another potential Heisman candidate that you could have on your on the rung. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's just like with Florida. If let's say DJ Lagway is generational and wins a Heisman Trophy, and you fired Billy and he leaves and goes to Auburn, then what do you do? That's where you run the risk with the immediate eligibility, in my opinion, because
but at the same time, listen, Brian Kelly had a Heisman Trophy winner. What'd they do? Go 9-3.
Right.
If I'm LSU, if I'm the fans, I don't care about Heisman trophies. That's cute. You go put a trophy in the fucking trophy room that matters. And going 9-3 and winning a Heisman doesn't get my dick hard. Like, that does nothing for me. So sorry about it. Yeah, you're great. Nussmeier might win a Heisman, but if we can't even compete for an SEC title, what does it matter?
Well,
and
the issue you have is that if you let's say at all intents and purposes you fire Brian Kelly and Nussmeier goes to Auburn and goes and goes and wins an SEC championship.
Well, I think Auburn's a lot more than a Garrett Nussmeier away from an SEC title.
I think they're a quarterback away.
Well, we'll see. But
look at their defensive numbers. I know.
No, I understand that, but
a lot of people hate Hugh Freeze, but look at his defensive numbers compared it to the offense. They'd have won. I don't know, probably 4 or 5 more games. I'm just saying.
Maybe, but that doesn't matter. And if you're worried about that, you're a loser program. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not worried about a kid that's going to go to Indiana if I fire Ryan Day. Like, if you're worried about Indiana, if you're LSU, or if you're Ohio State, then, and obviously this weekend that might not be the best thing, but like Auburn is Wisconsin.
They're right? with a natty.
Yeah, I understand that. With a natty 20 years ago.
2010.
Okay, 15 they've
won more recent than almost anybody else out of the Big Ten.
Well, I understand that, different conferences, but you get what I'm saying. Like, the Auburn in the SEC has not been relevant for 15 years. Outside of the kick six, in which they weren't relevant that year, outside of just knocking off Alabama. Yeah. So Auburn and Wisconsin. Wisconsin's been more relevant in the Big Ten in the last 15 years than Auburn has been in the SEC.
I disagree with that.
Well, okay. How many SEC title games has Auburn been to in the last 15 years?
1.
Okay. How many has Wisconsin been to?
I think it's 2.
Okay. Well, you look that up. But either way, you're splitting hairs. It's the same thing. Like, they both have been to 1 or 2 conference championship games, haven't won a goddamn thing. Same thing.
I mean, Auburn's played in what, 2 natties? Won 1, lost 1?
15 years ago? Yeah.
No, they played against who did they lose against? Florida State.
In 2012 or whatever?
2013 2012 season, yeah.
Okay, so 12 to 15 years ago, like I said. Anyways, I don't care about those programs.
That's a dumb. I think it's dumb on that end of it, because I don't think you can compare the 2 programs. Whether it's 15 years ago, I like Florida State is won a natty more recent than Wisconsin. Wisconsin's never won anything of substance outside of a Rose Bowl.
I'm saying in the conference, they're the same level of competition.
I mean, as of right now, yeah.
Because that's what I'm talking about right now.
both programs have no quarterback.
Well, okay. Well, who would you compare Auburn to in the Big Ten? Like, obviously, you have Alabama, Georgia, there, Ohio State, Michigan. You have Penn State, who's LSU, right? Like, just talking about, like, in the conference. I'm not talking about national landscape. Obviously, LSU has won national titles. Penn State hasn't. I get that. I'm just saying, if I'm an SEC school, I'm going to treat the top tier as the top tier. I'm going to treat Auburn like a mid-tier team that they are. And if you try to tell me Auburn is a top tier SEC team, I might leave right now because they're not.
I wouldn't call them top tier, but I
Okay,
mean,
I'd say they're pretty mid.
they're mid. They've been mid for a while. I mean, that's why they got rid of Malzahn. But I just think that, you know, because I see that the reason why I'm pissed about this is, you know, I've watched a lot of stuff the last couple of days about, you know, the people saying the SEC is not any good. It's not any good. It's not any good. Well, okay, put South Carolina in the Big Ten, and how many games do they win?
I have no idea because they don't play. That's a dumb argument.
Exactly.
That's a dumb argument.
And I'm just sick of the like Penn State is not any good. They are not fucking any good.
You can't make that argument. It's the same reason why you're mad about it. You can't make that argument. They don't play. Like, what do you mean? Like, you can't tell me Penn State can't go play in the SEC. Until they play the SEC, you can't tell me that. I'm sorry.
They're not
just
better.
because what ESPN puts 7
Numbers
teams
out.
in the top 25, all of a sudden the SEC is good.
I don't subscribe to. I don't. You know me. I don't watch any of that ESPN stuff. But, you know, I see the clips and stuff on social media. Now, do I think Feinbaum's cooked? Yes. I think he's a
Okay.
big
So
he's a big time
South
mouthpiece.
South Carolina could beat Penn State, you think, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why couldn't they beat? I'd have to look up their schedule. Why couldn't they beat Missouri or whoever they lost? Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I get it.
I think the 3 losses South Carolina has are to LSU, which you said is comparable to Penn State. And
Well, I just said as a program, not this year. Penn State will blow the doors off LSU this year.
Yeah,
LSU's a bad 6-4 team. Let's just be just so we're clear. We actually have a point of reference with that one. LSU played one of the worst teams in the Big Ten and lost.
Yeah,
bad.
But I think LSU's on quit watch. I mean, they've quit.
But anyways, so they lost to LSU. Okay, LSU this year is Iowa.
Yeah, that's comparable.
Yeah. So, but not to compare the conferences are totally different, and you can make arguments for both. I think the SEC is a deeper conference than the Big Ten right now. I think the Big Ten has better top end teams. That's just what I think. I think Texas is Indiana. I think Oregon is. I don't know. Oregon's better than Georgia. Bama,
so you came around. So you've came around the last couple days on Texas.
No, I'm down on Indiana. I think Texas is Indiana.
I don't. Is Texas good? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. They haven't played anybody, and the one team they played beat them by 2 touchdowns at home.
Exactly. So I think if Ohio State beats Indiana by 14, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. The only difference would be that Ohio State doesn't have 2 losses and Georgia does. So Ohio State, I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah. But neither here nor there on that. Like, I think at the top, you have Oregon, Ohio State, I think are better than majority of the teams in the SEC, if not all.
Yeah, I think if you roll them out on neutral sites, it's field goals either way.
Yeah, I think it's close games. But anyways, got sidetracked there a little bit. I think Brian Kelly should count his days at LSU. If he loses to Vandy tomorrow, they might come up with $60 million real quick.
I think he takes another job.
Doing what?
I think
there's not a check. There is not a check big enough, Duke.
I think his major out to go to retirement would be go try your hand in the NFL.
Nobody in the NFL wants that guy.
Hey, somebody might. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants would go after him.
Jesus.
Look at. I don't. But see, here's my thing. If I'm a university, I would try to talk Dable into coming to college.
Well, you probably will. I don't know if you will, but
because I think everybody's fired in New York.
Oh yeah,
and they just released Daniel Jones today. Joe Sheen is gone.
I mean, that dude made them look like horse. He made them look like shit, and I feel bad for all the people that work that you got to see work hard in the scouting department, and like they've ended up with the last drafts that they've had.
Yeah. Well,
and then,
Malik Neighbors was a good pick. I like that pick, but
it's hard to fuck that up.
Yeah, but I will say, like, so I don't know if you knew this. I didn't know this until today. Chris told me. But obviously they benched Daniel Jones for Tommy Cutlets, right?
Yep.
And they're putting the Italian stallion out there. And they demoted Danny Dimes to fourth string quarterback. Do you know what they did to him yesterday?
What am I, DB?
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah, they had him practice on scout team at safety.
You know how bad, man. You're really down bad if you're Daniel Jones. I kind of feel sorry for him. I mean,
that's just disrespectful.
Like,
I mean,
jeez, oh man.
Wow, $40 million a year. Go play scout team safety, bitch.
And here's another thing I saw on Twitter today. Mark Schlereth who was on ESPN and played for the Broncos.
Yeah.
He was talking about how Drew Lock. You brought Drew Lock in to compete. He's the second guy, and you just straight up put Danny Cutlets out in front of him.
Do you know why?
Why?
Drew Lock has his contract is set up where he gets a significant bonus based on the number of snaps that he plays. So your season's over. Why play the guy and pay him more for you to lose like you're going to anyways, or to win and hurt your draft stock? So that's why, because I thought the same thing. I was like, Drew Lock, I mean,
yeah,
he's got a little rhythm. He's got a little vibe to him. Like, I kind of like Drew Lock. Get him out there. And then I read about it, and I was like, oh, that's why. If he plays too many snaps, they got to pay him.
That's true, yeah.
Right.
I didn't hear that.
Still a business, but
yeah.
And then what was the other thing I was going to bring up? So Danny Dimes obviously got cut today. Was playing safety. There was one other thing I don't remember, but regardless, that whole situation. But damn it was something with Joe Sheen. I don't remember, but he's obviously gone. I think Daboll's gone. I think they're in clean house in New York.
And I think that's too bad for Daboll, because I think that Brian.
I think he's a good coach.
Yeah, I think
he is a good coach.
I think Brian had huge success at Alabama. They won a natty. He had huge success at Buffalo with Josh Allen, and that's what got him the Giants job. And then Shane goes over there
and just obliterates the whole goddamn place.
It never worked. Like, they had no offensive line, no weapons. Like,
yeah, I mean, they had nobody at wideout. Nobody even had, tailback. They didn't really help Jones either.
So, yeah, I think the Giants was, yeah. But anyway, we got, come on. We got almost 90 people in here. If everybody can do us a favor, hit the like and subscribe button. And also, if you're out there on Twitter, retweet, come on over to YouTube, join the show, get involved. We are trying to make it as interactive as possible. For anybody that has any questions, wants us to talk about something, you guys, it's a Friday night. You're spending your Friday night with us. Help us steer the show, because we're out here doing this for you guys. But hit the like and subscribe. Turn on the bell notifications, and also Cigario Lounge, Hubbard, Ohio, December 7th. Me, Carter, and Richie, we're going to be doing a live podcast. If producer Ed can get the graphic pulled up right on time, we're going to be there at noon. We'll have everything set up. We'll be there hanging out, having some bourbons, smoking some cigars, doing the whole thing real big. This is our second live show, but if you're in the area, come on, stop on through. We'll be there. There'll be tons of people there. Great selection of cigars, bourbon, full bar service. So that's what we're doing. December 7th. It's the week of the conference championship game. So We'll be there probably until 5 or 6 o'clock or so, and then who knows where the night will take us after that. So that's what.
Yeah, and Duke, I'm gonna help you with this. All right, it's SIGARO. Okay, it's SIGRO.
Oh.
There's no I. There's no I. It's not cigar-o.
Cigaro.
There
I always
Carlos.
forget.
Hey, good for you, Carlos. But yeah, no. So as
Hey,
we move forward,
well, Carlos is also moving forward, out with the in, and hey, what are
out
we
with
doing
the
here?
in? Out with the in, huh? Out with the in.
In with the out,
Yeah.
Hey, what are we doing?
I might be, bitch. I might be.
Fed's coming.
So yes, in a recap of the games going on, have no idea what the UTSA score is, but Michigan State is killing the Boilermakers right now. It is 17-3. Ryan Walters likely gonna get toasted out of this deal, like a panini sandwich at Panera Bread. I would say that he is done so. But anyway, let's get back to the topic du jour.
Yeah,
Bryce
let's talk about it.
Underwood. I think that Dave Portnoy has a lot to do with this. I think Tom Brady has a lot to do with this. Do I think Sharon Moore has a lot to do with this? I think he plays a role in it, but do I think it was the make or break or the complete?
Well, let's talk about kind of the path that took him here, right? Obviously, kid grew up in Belleville. For those of you out there who don't know where Belleville is, it's 20 minutes away from Ann Arbor. Kid grew up a Michigan fan, grew up 20 minutes away from the stadium. Like if you're from Columbus, it's like growing up in Upper Arlington almost. Maybe not that close, maybe like Dublin. But it's like growing up so close that you can literally see the stadium when you get on the highway. And for all intents and purposes, he didn't want to fucking go there. Like I couldn't believe this. Like, kid, number one recruit in the country. He grew up in your backyard. Literally, you could accidentally hit him with a football. Like, accidentally just throw it too far and you hit him. And he's like, oh, what the hell? But he didn't want to go there. He commits to LSU. Obviously, Michigan fans very upset, all in their feelings about it. How could this kid do this to this program? We are Michigan men, and he's one of us. And then he goes there, and they offer him a record-breaking $10.5 million to stay home. Just stay home. Your mom will be up the road. Just stay home. And he says, nah, I'm good. And stays committed to LSU. And then a week later, flips to Michigan. What changed?
Oh, I think
I'd say playing time.
Nope. The price tag. That's the only thing that changed. The price tag went up. Michigan gave him $10.5 million, and he said, nah, that's not enough. And they said, fuck. Our program is going to literal shit right now. Throw a bigger bag at him. And so they did. And so he's rumored to be getting anywhere from 12 to 13 million. I don't know. It could be upwards of 15 at this point. Who knows? It depends on who you ask. And he finally said, okay, you guys are just throwing money at me. I'm going to eventually say yes, right? Because let's be honest, we went over it last week when he said no to $10.5 million. He is going to be making more than the top pick in the second round last year. The top pick in the second round, Keon Coleman, got a 4-year, $10 million deal. That played a role, I believe. I believe that played a role. He saw LSU shit the bed against, I think Bama, he was okay with. I think he was at the Bama game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he came out and said, strong as ever, committed to LSU. Then A&M happened, and he was like, okay. And then Florida happened. He was like, well, what the fuck? It's fucking Florida. My dog could beat Florida. But I think that all plays a role. And he probably realized that Brian Kelly's fake as fuck and was like, you know what? I don't really want to be family with this guy. But $12.5 million was the reason. Let's not get it twisted. All right. And I just can't imagine a world where a kid grows up 20 minutes away from your stadium. Tavion St. Clair grew up an hour from Columbus. Do you think it took $12.5 million to get him to commit?
Well, I think that's a little bit unfair. Just saying, just because of the trajectory of both programs. You know, Michigan's 5-5.
Whoa. Talk to some Michigan fans. What do you mean? Sharon's great. Recruiting's up. They're great. They're a quarterback away from being national champions.
I think they have. They lost. The loss to Indiana does not help. But what I'm saying is I just think that they have. It's easier to sell Ohio State now, for sure. Present day right now, than what it is Michigan.
100%, and it should be. Ohio State puts quarterbacks in the NFL. Michigan doesn't. I mean, J.J. McCarthy, I guess you can't say that, but
I mean, they got one.
He's not taking a snap, but he's in there.
Yeah,
but this is the point, and so Carlos makes a good point here. Daniels and Burrow, exactly. Now, you can quote Bryce Underwood himself because he went on ESPN weeks ago and said the difference is LSU develops guys for the NFL. Michigan doesn't. He said it. I'm not making it up. He said that. So what changed? Why all of a sudden is Michigan this destination? It's a money thing. I do believe that he's under the impression that they are going to get an offensive coordinator that knows how to throw a forward pass, or maybe not himself, but knows how to call a forward pass or develop a guy that can throw a forward pass.
Right.
Maybe Tom Herman. Maybe Dan Mullen. I don't know. Just spitballing here.
Not Dano. Dano's still got to sit out another year. He's getting paid for.
Thank you. I know JJ's hurt. No shit. And the sky's blue. Like, I'm aware, but he hasn't taken a snap. That doesn't change what I said. But what, Dan Mullen? What about it? You don't think he's going to take it?
No, Dan. It would be smarter for Dan to sit out because he's got that last year of his buyout. It's like $8 million.
Yeah, and so what? You take a $20 contract, and they still have to pay it.
I think there's something weird with his to where he can't take another job. That's why he's doing TV because remember when the Purdue job came open and they're like, oh, Dan Mullen, and it was that whole contract thing. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, you might have to look it up.
Yeah, I will,
I think that's why he didn't take another job.
I also can promise you Dan Mullen has no interest in ever being the head coach of Purdue. Like that,
I don't
the
think
proximity to talent, there's no way he would ever take that job. But
Dan couldn't do it.
Yeah. But regardless of that, I think it's interesting that this happened. I would caution Michigan fans to not get too high on their horse. There's still a lot of time between now and signing day. A lot can change. And do you want to know, here's what I think is really interesting. Do you want to know what the NIL deal he was going to get at LSU was? I have this I'm pretty confident in this and that I've heard it from multiple people, some of which I trust very, very highly. Do you know what his NIL package was at LSU?
Was it 10.5?
Nope. Divided by 10.
Probably like $1.5 million.
Yeah, 1.5. He turned down $10.5 million to keep a $1.5 million deal. I don't know. I mean,
I think $10 million fixes a lot of problems.
Yeah, I can't comment on that. The real MVP. I don't know. Maybe that's true. I don't know if Sharon fixed anything, to be honest with you. I think a lot of it had to do with money, more money, more money again. And
Maybe some more
then
money.
the promises of a new offensive coordinator. And let's not forget one key fact. Do you know who got hired by Belleville recently?
Oh yeah, Connor Stallions.
I'm just saying. Kid commits to LSU. Kid reconfirms he's staying with LSU. Connor Stallions gets on staff at his high school, and all of a sudden, dude flips.
Well, I mean, that's what Connor worked in, and a lot of people are gonna just say, oh, he had nothing to do with it, blah 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 blah. But
yeah, so 6 over 4 years, 1.5 a year. You're right. Yeah, that's what it was. So 1.5 a year, and now it's 3 a year. So they doubled what he was going to get.
But if you're Michigan and Portnoy's kicking in the majority of this,
he's not kicking in the majority. Portnoy has nothing to do with this. From what I've heard and from what he said, Portnoy laughs about it and is all in. Most of this is coming from I forget his name, but he's worth $223 billion. One of the 10 richest men in the world.
He almost bought the Warriors. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
but
most of this is coming from that dude, which like $12 million to him is like $5 to us. So
it's
boy, I love that. Some billionaire $5, $12.
Yeah.
Just
to give you an idea, Ohio State fans, Notre Dame fans, whoever, the richest booster at Ohio State is Les Wexner. You don't know how much he's worth? Anybody know? $10 billion. $10 billion. He's worth about $10 to $15 billion. This guy is worth $223 billion. That's more than Phil Knight at Oregon. That's more than just about every booster in the country.
And also, I think that everybody on staff collectively at Michigan, they haven't had the best year, but you also have to give them a round of applause for getting this done.
And yeah, and I'll be 100 with you. I think. Has there been anybody more impactful at a program across the country over the past 5 years than Connor Stallions? He got Michigan a natty. He got Michigan Bryce Underwood. I mean, I'm putting him on Michigan's Mount Rushmore. I heard they did it on the live show I was at. I mean, Bo Schembechler, Connor Stallions, Charles Woodson, and pick your fourth. Desmond Howard.
I'd roll Dan Deerdorf.
Sure. Throw a random guy in there.
He's not a random guy. He's an NFL.
No, he's not. But you of course go with this fucking obscure decision. Like, oh, I'll throw fucking Jimmy 2 times in there. Like, okay.
Hey, don't be making fun of Jimmy 2 times now.
Hey, I'm gonna go get the papers.
But that's just one thing with the University of Michigan, with all the ancillary stuff that is going on around the program. Some people in Buckeye Nation are going to get upset with me and not like this, but they signed the number 1 player in the country. They haven't signed him yet, by the way. But they're most likely going to sign the number 1. I mean, what are we, 2 weeks out from signing day? So they have to hold it together for 2 weeks. Yeah. And with all things being considered, we talked about this in April. Notre Dame had the number 1 recruiting class.
I know.
Coming into spring ball. So, we've talked about this. December 4th is a long way away. And if Michigan holds on to this, I consider this a big-time generational win for that program and something.
Yeah. And you know what else it's going to bring?
More recruits.
Yeah. More recruits. Derek Meadows, first of all. Derek Meadows is about to flip tomorrow. Like, I don't know tomorrow for sure, but Derek Meadows on his way to Michigan. You can write it in stone.
Then there's the start of your receiver development because Derek Meadows is a heck of a player. We've studied him.
We covered him very closely because he was close to committing to Notre Dame, and he just liked Alabama better. But he likes Bryce Underwood more than he likes Alabama.
LSU.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's at LSU. That's right. With Bryce. or
So
where Bryce was going to go.
And
Um,
I think there's a lot of conversations out there that people are unwilling to have about this.
But let's make one thing really clear, because I want Michigan fans to just digest this part of it. It's wonderful for your program. If you sign Bryce Underwood, that is huge for your program, and it could mean great things. 50% of top recruits don't work out. So number one, let's not act like you just signed Patrick Mahomes. Like he's not proven. He's never played a college snap. But also, it's time that you just maybe take a step back and just level yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've had to listen to Michigan fans the entire offseason. Developed, not bought. We develop players. We take 3 stars and turn them into NFL guys. We develop players. We don't buy them. You bought this guy. Okay, so no longer can you say that. You just paid $12.5 million for a kid that's never played a down. Just so we're clear. So that's got to go. You gotta not even think about saying anything about what Notre Dame, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, what any of them do to get their rosters. So, I would have to look at the statistics on this. I feel like 90% is high.
Well, here's my thing.
Work out like what they start, yeah.
With the bot not developed thing, I think that Michigan had to make this move. You know, who was that kid that Ohio State wanted? The offensive lineman.
Oh, Sanders?
No, that got cut by the Bengals. What was his name? Went to Clemson.
I have no idea. I don't follow recruiting that closely, but
they pounded the table. They pounded the table and freaked out, and they had to have him in. You know, he ends up going to Clemson, blah 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 blah, and he didn't work out in the NFL. But the big thing is that Michigan had to sign this kid, and they had to pull out all the stops. They had to shake the coffers. Now, my issue is when it comes to the Buckeye fans saying, "Well, you're paying $10 million for a kid that's never played a down," ha 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 ha. Well, let's unpack this. A lot of the players that Ohio State that came back, but you paid J.J. Smith, you know what, 1.5, and
just a mil.
Just
not even, no, actually $750.
But I mean, you paid him $750 without even playing.
$750 is a lot different than $3 million for 1 year.
But you know what the biggest thing is when it comes to this, in my opinion, you have to pay the player the most that touches the ball every
play. I get that. I'm not saying they shouldn't have paid him. I'm just saying your whole argument is null and void now.
Oh, as far as I think it's always going to be, you know, Ohio State, Michigan, and all that, the whole rivalry stuff and all that, and who pays for what.
You just gotta just let it go. It's over. Like you guys buy players too, and let's not forget you paid $16 million for this roster, and you're 5-5. So,
but you know they didn't pay a quarterback, and I think that's the difference at some of these programs.
Yeah.
You know, we just talked about Auburn. Hugh Freeze didn't go out and get a quarterback. They looked Riley Leonard, and they got Peyton Thorne. Auburn has a Peyton Thorne problem.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. But it's an interesting move. It's big. It's big for Michigan. This is a big moment for them. We'll see. And the cool thing is that's the number 1 player in the country from the state of Michigan. He's going to stay home and go to Michigan. The number 2 player in the country is from the state of Ohio. He's going to stay home and go to Ohio State. That is going to be a fun matchup to watch, assuming they actually overlap, because obviously Bryce Underwood's coming in to be the starter day 1.
Mm-hmm.
Tavian St. Clair has some competition. Like he's not just going to roll in here and start, roll into Columbus and start. Like Julian Sain's going to start, or Aaron Noland or whoever. Like they got other guys.
Now let's be 100% on this. This takes me back to the argument, J.J. McCarthy or Kyle McCord. Now, this is what I'm saying. J.J. McCarthy or Kyle McCord, Michigan and Ohio State had the pick of 2 quarterbacks, and each guy picked their guy.
Whoa. No, Ohio State had the pick of 2 quarterbacks, and they picked Kyle McCord.
They picked Kyle McCord and not J.J.
Yeah.
McCarthy.
Yeah,
So,
Michigan didn't have a pick. Michigan got JJ because Ohio State didn't pick him.
So I would say that Michigan would be up 1 in this.
I mean, in recent memory, yeah, but this has been going on for 100 years.
But I'm just saying, Ryan Day versus Sherrod Moore. We'll just
that's
call it.
Never happened.
As
Sherrod
far as
Moore
the
had nothing to do with JJ.
Mm.
But either way, I see what you're saying. But no, that's a different situation because first of all, Kyle McCord wasn't from Michigan or Ohio. Where was he from?
Phil, I think he's from Philly, PA.
Yeah, he's from Philly.
Him and Junior went to high school together. So
yeah, and then JJ was from Ohio. I'm saying it's cool that they're both from their respective states, going to their schools. It's an old school situation. This used to happen in this rivalry all the time. Not always with the number 1, number 2 players in the country, but like big time recruits stay home, fight in this battle, and you get an opportunity for that. It might not be for 2 or 3 years for Ohio State to have TSC out there, but it's gonna be cool, and you'll get to see. And G says 90% of YouTube comment stats are made up, which is ironic because that's made up as well. But anyways, fun topic. I think it'll be interesting. And I heard Chris Drew of Menace to Sports make a comparison. And I want your thoughts on this before we dive into just talk a little bit about the games this weekend. Bryce Underwood at Michigan. His ceiling is Terrell Pryor at Ohio State.
I think that's unfair because Terrell Pryor didn't get to play his whole career.
He played 3 years. That's majority of people's whole career.
I think that.
Anyways, but regardless of that, what he's saying is, if you look at their skill set and you look at the coaches that they're going to, Terrell Pryor went to Jim Tressel. Jim Tressel, not known for quarterback play, right? Like he was a ground and pound, like, Tressel ball type of guy. Mm-hmm. Bryce Underwood, similar prospect to what Terrell Pryor was coming out of high school, right? I think Underwood is rated very similarly, 99.8. And he's going to Sherrod Moore, Sherrod Moore less proven as a head coach than Tressel was when he got TP, but similar system, right? Pro style, ground and pound, not really an open it up, air it out, quarterback friendly offense. Now, Tressel switched it up when he got Terrell Pryor. He tried to open it up more, tried to switch things up and did some weird things with him to try to utilize the skill set. I think Sherrod will do the same thing. Obviously, if they bring in an offensive coordinator that has experience with quarterbacks like that, it could change things. But I think that's a good comparison. And I honestly, and if you're a Michigan fan, that is not a slight to Bryce Underwood at all. Terrell Pryor was a hell of a quarterback in college. That is, I mean, if you told me that he would be Terrell Pryor at Michigan, if I'm a Michigan fan, sign me up. Because I'll probably win a natty.
Oh, I think that this completely I think Michigan was, they were starting out being the Hindenburg, and I think it turns the program around.
For sure.
And
I agree. I think they're going to get some guys in there because he's going to be their future for 3 years, and I think them landing him, it's like Carter, like you said, they're going to be attracting more and more talent.
Carlos, I love you, dude. I like you a lot. This is great.
Appreciate it, Carlos.
Take her to Pound Town, bro. Just
you're the conductor on that train, buddy.
Hey, don't be a fool. Wrap your tool. The
Sounds
pull-up
like
method is effective 66% of the time every time. So
he's gonna. Apparently, somebody's playing the meat whistle later.
Anyways, all right, but let's everybody out there. We got almost 200 in here tonight. Go ahead if you're on Twitter, retweet it. Go ahead and follow all that stuff. But come into YouTube. Get into the chat so we can throw your chats on the screen. We'll take questions. Goddamn, Carlos. But yeah, get in the chat, throw some questions up if you guys have questions or want our opinion on anything or want to tell us we're idiots like some of you do. But yeah, come over to YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the bell notifications. That way you get notified. We go live 5 days a week at least. So Monday through Friday, usually 7:30 on Monday through Thursday. Friday is a little different, maybe like 8:30 sometimes. And then Saturdays we'll go live depending on the game schedule and everything like that. But yeah, like and subscribe, retweet us. And as we showed on the graphic earlier, we'll put it back up later. And it's on all our social medias and everything. We'll be out at Sagaro Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio, December 7th at noon. So come out, say what's up, have a cigar, have some bourbon, chill with us, watch some championship football on Championship Saturday. But boys, to round out the show, let's talk about just a couple games that are going on this weekend. Obviously, the big one, the one that most people are excited about, is going to be the Indiana-Ohio State game. I know we've talked about it a little bit this week. I've had a full week to think about it, a full week to analyze it, and I have my prediction, but I'm going to hold off. I'm going to let you guys talk first. What do you guys think?
I think this – when it comes to this game, everybody coming in is saying Ohio State has, they're going to out-talent them. They're going to do, they're going to be able to do this, this, and this. And the thing for me when it comes to this game in particular, I think Indiana's efficiency on offense, and if they run tempo, and I think if they do what Oregon did to them, because when Oregon had success against Ohio State, they ran tempo. It was like, back in the day with Tom Herman, don't run to the ball, don't run to the ball carrier, run to the ball, jet, the famous Ed Warner play call. He's also fired, by the way, not employed by anybody. He is at the Sitco, ding, 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 shout out Torg. But I think that, when we're looking at this game, we have to take into account Indiana's efficiency on offense. They stay ahead of the chains. They run the ball well. They make high percentage throws. So, and everybody says, well, it's against nobody. Okay, that's fine. Ohio State's played a little bit stiffer competition, but if they're the number one team in the country and Penn State is, proverbial dog shit, why'd you, I'm just going by what is out there on the interwebs. I'm not saying that's your opinion or Richie's opinion. I'm just going out there by a collective whole of what's on the interwebs. The big problem I have with that is that because Ohio State beat Penn State, you can't say Penn State's not any good. You only beat them, 13-20? And then you lose at Alton by 1? So when it comes down to it, you played the same level of competition in your conference equal to Alabama. And everybody says Alabama is no good. Is that you get what I'm saying? Even though Alabama has one more loss, the Vandy loss, but they have the Tennessee loss. So I'm just saying that I think this is a really good matchup, and I think Indiana covers the third. It was, when it opened, I believe it was 14.5. It's down to 10.5 now. I think Indiana covers the 10-point spread.
Okay.
I think Ohio State probably beats them by a touchdown late.
Okay. Richie?
I think Ohio State's gonna, talent-wise, I mean, you can't beat talent. with the two tailbacks, Q and Trey. I see it being tough the first half for Ohio State. They'll make their second half adjustments, and I think they run away with it tomorrow. 45-21.
Ooh, 45-21. I like it. I like it. All right, so here's what I think. I think that it does matter. It does matter that this Indiana team has not been tested by anyone of substance. It does matter that they haven't had to go on the road and play in an environment. It does matter that their quarterback is a transfer from Ohio University. And at the end of the day, they have overachieved for what they are. Now, they are a very well-coached team. They play sound, fundamental football. That quarterback has been excellent. Rourke is the real deal. And he is a ball placement specialist. His accuracy is great. He gets the ball out on time. And you can't blitz him and rattle him. But what you can do is if you get pressure on him, not even through blitzes, because against the blitz, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But when you actually get pressure, not like understand there's a difference between blitzing and pressure, right? Blitz just means you bring extra people. Pressure means you actually get to him. If you can pressure him, his completion percentage goes down 20%. His efficiency goes down tenfold. If you can get pressure on him, he is an average quarterback. Now, the problem is the secondary the good thing is the secondary doesn't have to compete with elite athletes at wide receiver. Indiana's wide receivers are not that good. They're okay. But the bad news is the wide receivers at Indiana haven't had to get open all year for Rourke to make them look good. So just because you can cover him doesn't mean he can't throw them open. Now, I think the difference comes in the scheme that I think Jim Knowles is able to put out there is going to be a scheme that he hasn't faced. It's going to be with athletes that he has he can't even comprehend the level of athlete he's going to face Saturday. He's never faced it in his life. And I think that's the difference on defense. I think the defense does a good job. I think they slow down this offense. The run defense is going to be fine. The pass defense is where it gets iffy because you are going to have a lot of back shoulder throws with which Denzel Burke's been okay against. Igbenogson gets a holding call every time. And so they're going to attack Iggy. They're going to attack IGB, and they're going to try to force him to play clean football. Rourke is really good at back shoulders. He's really good at throwing the ball to a spot. He makes some incredible throws. So I think defensively it's going to be close, but I think edge I would give to Ohio State. Offensively, I think this is where I understand and trust me, anybody in the comments that wants to tell me, I know the stats. I know the rankings. I understand that this is the second best rush defense in the country according to all your statistics. I understand that this defense is relatively untested in the secondary and is a top 10 secondary. The difference is they haven't faced an offense with a pulse all year. And the only thing that gives me pause with Ohio State's offense is the offensive line because of the injury to Seth McLaughlin. If that is any issue at all, it's going to be a dogfight. But I don't think it will be. I think, in my opinion, I think Hinsman, I think Donovan Jackson is the heartbeat of that offense at this point. He has taken the reins. He is the guy. And I honestly, I believe Ohio State's offense will show out against this defense because that secondary hasn't been tested all year. They haven't had to face any sort of passing attack. Will Howard has proven that he's a good passing quarterback. He's not elite, but they have not been tested at all. So I lean more towards Richie's prediction. I don't think it's quite 45-21. I think you're more likely to get a 31-17 type of performance. But I like Ohio State to cover 10.5. I honestly think, especially with it being this shoe, you got to understand something as well. Indiana has never played in a game of this magnitude in the history of the university. That matters. Curt Cignetti has as an assistant coach. He's never played in a magnitude game like this as a head coach. That matters. Ryan Day does this shit multiple times a year, every year for the past 6 years as a head coach and the past 20 years as an assistant. This is nothing new. It's going to be in the shoe. You have experienced players. This is one of the most experienced rosters in the country, and they know they have 2 games to accomplish goals they've set out to accomplish for a year and a half. I think the difference comes down to experience. I think the difference comes down to the fact that Ohio State's been there before. This is nothing new. This is their 3rd top 5 matchup of the year. You think they care? Do you think they're going into it going, oh, shit, this is a big game? No. They play big games every year, multiple times a year. Indiana's coming into the horseshoe going, oh, shit, this is a big game. Now, Curt Cignetti can handle that, but I just think when the lights come on, when the whistle blows, when you get between the lines, coaches coach, players have to play. And at the end of the day, Ohio State's more experienced. Ohio State has more big-time players. It's going to be a fun game. I think Ohio State wins by 2 scores.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
I think that I don't have much pause in, you brought up a lot of good things there. I just feel like, this is why we play the game. Mm-hmm. This is why we play, because we can sit up here and we can talk this thing into the grave for all we want.
Oh, for sure.
But in less than 24 hours, the 4-panel 8 laces thing is going to get kicked off, and we're going to find out who it is. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like, I give Indiana a puncher's chance. I like the underdog. I've been taking the underdog all year. I feel like that, I've heard a couple people say, yes, they brought up the big game thing about, this is a big game. Indiana's never had one in their pro. Well, what the fuck does that matter? I don't think that matters.
Well, I mean,
what does
it matters? It matters.
None of these coaches, none of these players. He had an 80% turnover of the roster. I think it's a football game.
Well, it is, but I don't know how to put it. Like,
what's different?
There's a difference when you go to a program that is constantly in these games, right? And even if you haven't been in them, if the program you're in has been in them, there's just a different feel. And it's just like from the fans to the alumni to the boosters to the administration to everything, there's just a different feel. And it gives you confidence because you're like, oh, of course we're going to win this game. We're Ohio State. This is what we do. Like this isn't new. Whereas Indiana fans, I'm sorry, Indiana fans have never experienced this. So they don't even know how to act right now. Right? And it just gives a different feel to the team. It's so much bigger than just the players from a whole. But obviously, when you get between the lines, when the players are playing, yes. Why do you think upsets happen? Do you think Vandy upset Alabama because Vandy just has experience upsetting Alabama? No, it happens. But yeah. But that's a rarity, right? Most of the time, the team with the experience in the environment does better. That's just statistics. That's just how it works.
Well, I mean, if you take experience and all that, Alabama, Jalen Milroe, they played in a college
exactly.
semifinal.
People get upset all the time. Don't get me wrong, but this isn't the same thing as an upset by Vanderbilt over Alabama. This is a top 5 matchup. There's a difference. There's a difference between being the underdog. Oh, what the hell? I was just getting going. But anyways, there's a difference between being the underdog that's not expected to win, that isn't expected to even compete, and pulling off the upset. But when you come in as a top 5 team, you're no longer you're the underdog. Obviously, they're 10-point underdogs. They're not supposed to win. But there's a different level of expectation when you're ranked as high as they are, when you're having the success that they are. It's a different matchup. You're no longer just this scrappy underdog that got the upset. Now you're expected to go out and put up a performance. You're a playoff team. And that's different. That is going to be a different thing. Indiana's never experienced it. And I just think that to me is going to matter, especially with it being at the Horseshoe. If this was in Indiana, I would feel very different about this game.
If it was at Indiana, I know they've always played Ohio State tough at home in Indiana.
Yeah.
I'd be the same way. Because they've always given Ohio State their very best shot at their place. Now, when they come in tomorrow, statistically and historically, they're god awful.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying they're going to be. Like I said, I think
Right.
14-point win, 2 scores. And I do want to address some comments that are coming in. And yeah, I mean, okay, sure. Keep running with that narrative. That's fine. You can look at his record. That's fine. It's okay. Anyways, I won't dive too deep into that one. But yeah, you're right. He's lost a lot of big games. He has. Mostly to playoff games and Michigan. Outside of that, he hasn't really lost to anybody, but that's fine. Has 6 winning percentage in the last 50 years. Their winning percentage is 6. Like 6%. I don't know what you're saying here. Has a 6 winning percentage. So 6% winning percentage versus Michigan. Lower versus OSU. I don't know what this is saying, to be honest with you. Can you understand it?
I can't understand it.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not stupid. I'm like
wait,
has a 6 winning percentage left versus Michigan, lower versus OSU. Anyways, I think it means Indiana can't beat Michigan or Ohio State. I think that's what it means, which is historically true. And Buckeyes by 30. Okay, well, that could happen. I'm not saying it's not going to, but I think it's a little closer than 30. And then 31-20. Yeah, like I said 31-17. I think anything, about 14 to – I could see it being 10. I could see it being 14. I could see it being 21. I think anywhere between 2 and 3 scores is probably where it's going to be if I had to guess. The only thing that gives me any sort of pause to projecting anything like that is the offensive line for Ohio State, just because it could have issues with the new center or the center that was a guard or however they end up playing it. But the good news is Indiana's interior defensive line is nothing to really be scared of. I think next week against Michigan actually is a bigger test for the interior offensive line of Ohio State.
Yeah.
But neither here nor there. Hey, Duke's back. All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
I just made some incredible points. You'll have to watch it on the replay, but
my internet paused and then everything stopped working, microphone, everything.
Well, that's what happens when you go to Diddy parties on Fridays.
Well, I got the
Anyways.
sorry, Carter. I took your invite.
It's one invite.
Oh, you took my own joke and then reused it, but
I was like
anyways, but outside of Ohio State, Indiana, the one game that I'm paying attention to, I know there's Ole Miss, Florida. Who cares? Those 2 teams are not worth talking about. But
Ole Miss is in the playoffs.
Maybe we'll see. Not when they lose to Florida.
Now,
I said that specifically. God, here we go. I don't even know who Duke likes more, Ole Miss or Florida. He's got like a half Ole Miss, half Florida sweatshirt that he wears. It says Jackson Lagway on the back. Like it's weird.
I'm just saying Lagway's good. I mean,
yeah, you also love Ole Miss. I get it. It must be nice to not be an SEC fan, but love all the SEC schools. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Says the guy with the goddamn Kentucky thing hanging on his
I went to fucking Kentucky. Like, what do you want me to do? I went to Kentucky. Kentucky football's trash, but basketball, here we go. Natty, baby. Cats by 90. All day.
On a side note, I love Kentucky's new basketball coach.
Oh, hell yeah, Mark Price.
Yeah, I think Mark Price is awesome.
Yeah, he's the real deal. Anyways, not to get into that, but last game we're going long. We got, and I want to preface this by saying I love and support our troops. I am a huge fan of the military and everything they stand for and everything they do for our country and giving me the freedom to say what I'm about to say. Notre Dame is gonna fuck Army up. Like, the more I look at it, I am really sorry. Like, cadets, salute. I love you. I hope if we ever go to war again, hopefully we don't, but if we do, I am very happy to know you'll be there. But on Saturday, you're going to take an L. And hopefully it helps you grow as a soldier and teaches you how to not take L's on the battlefield. Because when I break this down, I'm sorry. I know Army is the darling of America right now. Everybody loves them. They're undefeated. But they have, I think, the worst strength of schedule in all of college football. They've played quite literally nobody. And I see no reason why they can even compete with Notre Dame on Saturday. So I don't know what the spread is right now, but I would take Notre Dame to cover it. Notre Dame is playing some of the best football in America right now, and you can come at me all you want in the comments. They are. Now,
14,
fucking hammer it. Hammer it. Notre Dame's defense, I would put up against any defense in the country right now. And I want to make sure that I really drive this home for everybody out there that wants to just pull up random statistics. Understand something. Notre Dame is playing a third-string defensive end. Notre Dame is playing a second-string linebacker. Notre Dame is playing their third and fourth defensive backs at corner. Notre Dame is not what Mac, we can talk about strength of schedule later. I have statistics that would argue with you. This year's not great. I don't disagree with that. This year, not the best strength of schedule for Notre Dame.
Next year's schedule is going to be awesome.
Yes. And typically Notre Dame's strength of schedule is top 20 in the country. So I don't want to miss me with that. This year, Florida State sucked. Nobody saw that coming. USC sucks. Nobody really saw that coming either. And then obviously they didn't have Clemson. They didn't. Anyways, regardless, I agree. Strength schedule this year, not great for Notre Dame. However, they're taking care of business outside of the 1 week that we won't talk about because I talked about it ad nauseum, and I tried to get Marcus Freeman fired, and that was a mistake. That was on me. But Notre Dame's defense is playing phenomenal. And this is why I get into it with Ohio State fans talking about injuries. Injuries happen, and Notre Dame's defense has responded great. Notre Dame's rushing offense, I would put up there against any. I mean, the way they run the ball, especially with Riley Leonard, phenomenal.
And Price.
Well, obviously. Price and and Love. Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price. Those guys are great running backs. They aren't quite on the echelon of Q and Trey at Ohio State, but they're not that far off. And then Riley Leonard is a phenomenal athletic quarterback. He makes enough throws. Their passing offense leaves something to be desired. I've talked about that at nauseum as well, and that's just not going to change. So they've adapted. The offense has adapted to the fact that Marcus is a good Buckeye, even though a lot of Buckeye Nation hates him now. And I feel bad for that, but yeah.
Can I interject something?
No, here? Absolutely not.
Well,
yes, go ahead.
I just think it's really like if you take the pretty much, like what we think is the Midwest, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
Where all of us are located, how great is it? We can even count Pennsylvania in here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just for a region of the country, a lot of the SEC schools. But if you look at the regions of the country, it's basically Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan versus Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida.
Well, and let's not forget, like, the Big Ten has been puffing their chest out, as they should. They have 4 of the top 5 ranked teams in the country. But if you include Notre Dame, 5 of the top 6 are in the Midwest.
And really, from all of our houses, they're all within driving distance.
Yeah, and so Midwest football is up right now, and it's awesome. It's awesome for the game. Midwest, I understand it's it means more in the South, but Midwest football, there's something to be said about that. So having said that, I think Notre Dame covers. I think Notre Dame takes care of business. And any show, any pundits, anybody in the media that wants to tell you that Notre Dame should not be considered a quality team because of the Northern Illinois loss, I just want you to understand something, especially if you're a Notre Dame fan and you struggle hearing it, right? It just pisses you off. Like, God, come on. Like, I know it's a bad loss. I understand. Anybody that tells you that hasn't watched a single snap in the past 6 weeks.
Well, if you look at that team that strapped up against Northern Illinois is a totally different team that played Navy.
Absolutely.
Virginia. It's night and day.
Yeah, it's not at all the same team.
Like,
and I don't want to make comparisons out of turn. Or you go ahead first.
One of the things that I like about what they do over there at Minnesota Sports is that you can go for the games that, get broken down by Zach Smith. If you go and watch, let's say, Ohio State week 1, and then you watch their game leading up to Michigan, which would be Indiana. If you watch the Akron game opposed to the Indiana game, those are two totally different teams.
Yeah.
Two fundamentally different teams.
As they should be. That's part of the beauty of this. And what I was going to say is, if you are the type of person that sees Notre Dame lose to Northern Illinois by 3 at home, bad loss, nobody's going to argue that with you. Mm-hmm. But if you're the type of person that then says that's what that team is, refuses to look at any film, anything for the last 10 weeks since, do the same thing every year. Go back to 2014 when Ohio State lost to Virginia Tech. Should that have defined their season? No, clearly not. They ended up beating Bama and Oregon to win the Natty. They were a good-ass team. They were a totally different team by the time they got to the playoffs. It happens. That's what happens in college football. You grow. And so I'm excited for this game. I think Notre Dame covers. I think Notre Dame goes out and just honestly ends Lincoln Riley's career next week. Like, I want them to just
well, we talked about that at the beginning of the year before we said the Notre Dame game was going to be his. If he wins it, he's okay. If he loses it, he's probably done.
Yeah, but then I forgot that they would have to pay him $80 million, and they're probably not going to do that. But he should be fired if he loses to Notre Dame. But regardless of all that, that's all I have for this weekend's games. I don't know if you have anything else to add or if you guys have any other games. I think the other game, one more, BYU, Arizona State. I'm actually excited.
Forks up, baby.
Give me Scataboo.
Hey, fork 'em, baby. Fork 'em.
Scataboo.
Yeah, I think that's a little something else there, Richie.
Oh.
Whoa, Rich. Scataboo. But outside of that, I don't have anything.
Okay.
I got nothing else, guys.
Except go Gators. Go Gators.
Bro, you can't keep doing this. Like, I was a Florida fan at one point, and now you just make me hate Florida.
It's because you just don't like Bowl Game Billy.
Bowl Game Billy. Like, what? Have fun in the fucking Music City Bowl in Detroit, you loser.
Getting better. Get a practice.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, I just want to say it once again. We got about 200 people in here. Thank you so much for tuning in, spending your Friday night with us. We do this every day. I mean, Monday through Friday for sure, sometimes Saturday. Usually not Sundays. It's the Lord's Day. But make sure you head over to YouTube, like and subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get notified. Follow us on social media, Twitter. If you're out there watching on Twitter, retweet it. Tell us how we're stupid. I don't care. And then also, all our social medias are the Andre Duke Show. Just just type that in, it'll pop up. And then Saturday, December 7th, we'll be at Cigarro Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio for our live show. We're on Apple, Spotify. All that shit should be fixed. If it's not, please DM me or email me. It should have been fixed. Yep, there you go, G.
Oops.
Well, not Richie's first time, let me tell you. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. It was great chopping it up, and can't wait to see what this weekend holds.
And we'll be live at some point tomorrow. Just keep an eye on the old Twitter sphere and turn on those bell notifications so you know we'll be breaking down some stuff tomorrow. Hopefully after a Gators victory. But
Hey, I'm all for it. Go Gators.
Anybody
Go
got
Sun
anything
Devils.
else?
No, that's it, man.
No.
All right. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for watching.